Hi, this tutorial is all about memory forensics. I will take you through the basic stuffs about memory, what you are looking for in a Windows box. Reason behind that is until you know what you are looking for, what is normal, what to be expected or what not to be expected, you are not in a position to do good forensic investigation. So whole objective for these sessions are this particular session I will take you through the basic stuffs of memory. As far as Windows box are concerned, I will be using something called process hacker to show you a bit of relevancy, and then second tutorial I will show you how you can dump the memory. Third tutorial I will take you through some more forensic investigation by using volatility to analyze a memory what has been dumped. So let's start. I hope you all quite okay with the understanding of the value of forensic value of the memory, where you can find number of different user activities, you can find the evidence of a compromised system, or you can find encryption keys, password, things like that. We are not touching everything like that. We will try to understand what are the processes, default processes stays in the memory. That will be main objective for this session. So what you can find in a memory, mainly once you know what is normal to expect from a memory, then you can identify what is not normal to found in a memory, and then you can do detailed investigation of each of those. Probably you can find some rootkits, any rogue processes, or you can find some hidden communication by analyzing a live memory. But first of all, you need to understand what is normal, what to be expected to see from a memory. What I will be using for this session, I'm using my Windows VM, but you don't have to use a Windows VM. You can use any machine really. You just need a Windows machine. I'm using Windows 7 64-bit, but that doesn't matter. The same concept will imply on Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 10. All of these will work on the tutorial I will take you through. I will be using an application called Windows Process Hacker. That's a open source free application to download. So I will suggest you to download that Process Hacker before you start this whole session. What is a process? I believe you have some sort of understanding about a process. It is whenever we try to execute a program, actually a process will be created in memory, and that program will be executed from the memory. Each of those process will have a PID, what we call process ID. A process will be created as we request. Sometimes a process could be suspended, or once we finish our job, whatever we were doing, a process will be terminated. By using memory dump, probably you can find all three types of evidence. However, terminated processes, remember, that is not staying in memory. Whenever you will have new requirements, for example, you have a memory of 2 GB, some of the terminated processes definitely will be removed as soon as you request to have more memory to allocate new processes. So not necessarily you will not find the terminated processes always, but I will show you some ways where you may have some hints about the processes what has been terminated before. Obviously that could be very useful because probably someone was running a malicious software into your system, and that software just has been terminated because those hackers are done with whatever they wanted to achieve. But you knowing those terminated processes will help you to process this evidence for forensic investigation. Now, fundamental system processes. I'm sure you all have pressed Control Alt Delete many times, and you all have seen so many processes running in your Windows box. Some of these are called these names, what I will take you through. Mainly, this whole session is all about to give you a brief introduction of some of the system processes, what you will always find in a Windows box, and there are many others, but I will leave it on you to learn as you go. These are the basic processes what I will expect you to remember, so that whenever you see a Windows box, you are in a position to differentiate between basic legitimate processes and which are not normal to be in a Windows box. So let's before we start, the term we call it level 1 triage process. This is mainly just to identify notable processes whatever you have in a system. When you are identifying notable processes, first of all, what you want to do is to check their spelling very carefully. It is a common practice among malware creators that they will create a process which will have a similar name to the default process running in a Windows box, and as forensic investigator, maybe you will just quickly go through with this, you will miss that the name is actually not the right name. So that's a very basic thing that you should always check the spelling of the processes running carefully. All the processes does have a parent. Sometimes it will show us the parent, sometimes it won't. So from forensic investigation point of view, what you want to do is to check whether the processes does have a right parent, whatever the parent they're supposed to have, or whether they're supposed to have any parent or not. Every process should run from certain directory, what I will be talking in a minute, but once you know those default directories, it will be your job as part of level 1 triage process to check where those processes are running from. If a process is running from a different directory than wherever it's supposed to run from, then you will know you need more investigation on that process. Some of the processes supposed to have only one instance running. Some of the processes will have many instances running. So as part of your initial investigation, you need to check if one process is having number of instances. You need to ask yourself a question that, does this process supposed to have more than one instance running? If not, then more investigation will be required in that area. So these are the basic steps what you will do as part of level 1 triage process. As investigator, first of all, you will go through with the basic stuffs, form some basic opinion. Then in level 2 you will take a step further and you will investigate more in details for each of those processes. So if we start talking about Process Hacker is an application which will allow you to pick up all the processes running in a system in a Windows box, and it will allow you to check some details about that process. Instead of describing Process Hacker, it will be much easier if I just run the Process Hacker and then take you through some of the basic features of Process Hacker. I just downloaded and installed Process Hacker, very simple application, not a big one either. So first of all, please do download Process Hacker. So when you run Process Hacker, this gives you a screen like that, which has all the processes running in your computer. Now you could see the processes running in your computer by going to so I'm using virtual machine. I had to do that, but for if you are using a real machine, you could just click Ctrl+Delete. What I am trying to show you is, if I go to my task manager, see, I could click on processes and I could see all the processes running in this machine. However, These are not very much details in many cases. By using Process Hacker, not only you are seeing all the running processes, but you can see much more details. You can do some filtering of different processes. So not necessarily you will have to use Process Hacker. You could use Task Manager up to a certain extent, but I will prefer Process Hacker for this particular tutorial. So now this is Process Hacker, pretty simple stuff. You see all the processes running, and if you want to check where this process is running from, you just take your cursor on top of a process and this gives you the name. So this process, which named system, is running from Windows System 32 and ntkrn lpa.exe. That's the source of this process where it is running from. If you double click on it, you can get the details. You will have some other information from here, what time this process has started. So exactly the time where this process has started, couple of other information, statistics, performance of this particular process, lots of other information you can find by double clicking on particular process, what you could not do from our task manager options. So here you could even see the memory consumption, things like that. Lots of other features available. I will suggest you to play with the Process Hacker, check the help files, but this tutorial is not about taking you through the Process Hacker, so I will have to skip into my plan. This tutorial is all about giving you a brief introduction of some of the basic processes what we have in a Windows box. So let's move on. My very first process I wanted to talk about is, I hope you can see this well. Let me make the screen a bit bigger. Okay, it is not working. Okay, very first process I wanted to talk about is the system process. As you can see, system process is this one. If I make the screen a bit smaller so that you can read those tutorial slides as well. System process is the very first process. What you need to know about this system process, you need to know, obviously always check the spelling system, whether it's been spelled correctly, from where it's running. It's supposed to run Windows System 32 ntkRN.lpa.exe, so quite a large name. You need to check the name. System process will always have a PID, process ID, as 4. So if you see a system process which has a different PID, you need to check it a bit more details. System process will start once the PC boots. So this is the very first process, kind of first process, which will start as soon as the PC boots. Why it is important? If you see the time where what time this so I just double clicked on it and I can see this process has started on that day, on that time. Once I know this, and later on, let's say I found a process which is here, and by double clicking on it, I see this process just started 35 minutes ago. Now I can say that this process has been started either by the user or by a scheduled process, but it wasn't a default process started with the system process. That's why what time system process has started could be important information for you. It will run all the .sys files, .dll executables, but most importantly, you will always have one instance of system file. So if you see multiple instance of system process, definitely you want to look into that details. System process will start at the beginning, will always be a single instance. You need to remember this important information. So after the system process, we are which one we are in. Let me find out. We just talked about the system process. Let's move on to service. Now, service.exe is the process which controls all the services. This will have a parent, and parent of this service process will be wininit.exe. Winit, oh sorry, I typed it wrong. It will be, see how easy it is to misspell it. Winit. Yeah, it will be wininit, winit. So if we go to this process, this is the process I'm talking about, wininit.exe. This will be the parent process of the service process. So see, this is service process, which is the child of wininit.exe. Service process will always have one instance only. Again, important information, service process will have only one instance, similar to the system process. However, service process will have a number of other child processes, like many of these will be SVC host, which is running different DLLs. The SVC host will be the most biggest instance numbers, if you like, within your processes most of the cases, because this is running all the DLLs, and that will be under the service.exe process. So moving on, if we go to next process, what we have is client server runtime subsystem, CSRSS. I will request you to remember this spelling particularly, because I have seen over the years number of viruses, malware, which had slightly different spelling and managed to stay anonymous within the system. For example, if someone wrote CSRRS or CRSS, something like that, it is quite possible that on human eyes no one will notice that. So exact name will be CSRSS. This process also supposed to start right after the boot process. So if you see, let me find out where is our CSRSS. You will find CSRSS here, right here. So it will not have a parent process. It does not have a parent process. Anyways, it did have a parent process. A process just started CSRSS, then that will disappear. So CSRSS will not have a parent process. If you see a parent process, that means something wrong's there. It's supposed to start once you start the PC, once your PC boots, and you should always check the spelling very carefully. CSRSS, there could be multiple instances. So for my system we have two, I have two, but there could be more than two instances. Be ready to see more CSRSS. Taskhost.exe, that's an interesting process in a sense that let me show you where taskhost.exe is. It will be within the services. So services is the parent process, and service did have another parent process, which was wininit.exe. Within service process we have so many SVC host, and around the end we have taskhost.exe. It is running from that default directory system32. Taskhost.exe is a simple process which just wait. If your computer did have any scheduled task, whenever that time will come, taskhost.exe will execute that task. So most of the times you will see it sitting idle, but it is always ready to start a task according to the schedule you have into your Windows box. It will have only one instance, and always try to find out whether it has been legitimately signed. I will talk about the legitimacy in a minute. So if I move on, my next process I wanted to talk about is winlogon.exe. As the name suggesting, this is the process which allows you to enter your username password, and once you enter the username password, those goes to LSASS for validation. I will talk about LSASS in next slide. That's another process which validate whether you are the authorized user to use this PC or not. And after doing the validation, WinLogon will allow you to use that system. It will not show any parent process. So if I show you WinLogon from here, WinLogon, it does not have any parent process. It won't show any parent process. It did have a parent process anyways, and it will allow you to log in. Remember, whenever you are pressing Alt Control Delete, you are asking for changing the username password or something like that. Again, you are calling WinLogon. Screensaver also could be linked with WinLogon. So this particular process could be linked with number of other processes. Okay. Now this is the one I was talking about, Local Security Authority Subsystem, LSASS, quite a long name, Local Security Authority Subsystem, LSystem. It's just process the authentication for local users. So this particular process will authenticate the local users. This will always run from default directory. One of the most important thing about LSASS is it will enforce the security processes like password policy and any sort of local security policy. So if your LSASS process is compromised, you seriously don't have any security in your system at all. So if I show you where the LSASS is running, this is our LSASS. LSASS process will run once your computer start, because this is enforcing all the security policies. We have LSM, local session manager. Maybe your computer does have number of users, different users. Each of these users needs to have individual different sessions to do their job, and lsm.exe will manage those sessions, especially when you are having remote logins, you are having terminal services. lsm.exe manages those sessions, who can log in for how long, what kind of things they can do, things like that. It will always have a single instance, and it will run from the default directory, which was Windows/System32. LSM will run right after the boot process start. So you want to check those basic things. smss.exe. This is a system process which will start right after the boot process again, and it will run from the default directory. Now system.exe will be the parent of SMS. So see, system.exe does have only one child for my system. Maybe you will have few more child of system, but for me we have only one system.exe. Well, I forgot to show you something. Whenever you have you want to know more about individual process, if you just select this process, and on right hand side description there is a brief description. So smss.exe is the Windows session manager. It just creates different session for different processes, so on and forth. Do I have any? Now, SVC host, as I explained before, that will run all the DLLs. SVC host will be within the services, but you always want to check the spelling of SVC host, because that has been used by the malware creator many times. Just by changing the spelling a slight in a little bit, they manage to hide themselves for longer. So SVC host running from service.exe, it will have multiple instances, many instances in fact. Now, all these processes I have talked about so far are the processes will run by the operating system. None of these processes were user specific process. When you want to know the user specific processes, then you want to come down and you will find this explorer.exe. Within explorer.exe, all the other processes running is the action of mine. So at the moment I'm running this process hacker. See somewhere this is the process hacker. If you double click on it, I'm running it for last 16 minutes 30 seconds, couple of other information. I'm running Google Chrome, number of instances of Google Chromes are running. I have VMware tools, so this is the description. I have Wireshark running. All the user processes running here, you will particularly find those applications within Explorer. If you had Internet Explorer running, that could be little confusing. It will come as iExplorer, and you could have number of other instances. So from here you can find the username, PC name, and all the other information, how much CPU this particular process is consuming, so and so. So explorer.exe is a process which will be linked to individual users. If you have 5 users will have 5 different explorer.exe, and each of these applications run by individual users will come under their own explorer.exe. Okay. Just a few important points. Sometimes you may want to use okay, if I go to view, this is something I wanted to talk about. There are a couple of important features you have. If you wanted to hide processes from other users, you just clicked on it, and then it will show you only the processes what's run by this particular user. In other words, all the system processes will be hidden. Maybe some other users are logged in, those processes will be hidden. You will be seeing only the processes of this particular user who is actively logged in right now. If you wanted to, so I will uncheck that, signed processes. Many times malware writer will write a program as if it is a program run by Microsoft, but definitely they will not be able to signed as Microsoft. Therefore, still that program on your plain eyes, user eyes, it may look like it is from Microsoft, but operating system will identify that as unsigned process. If you want to see all the unsigned process, which is many times is a big risk, you can click on signed unsigned processes, and I can find only 2 or 3 processes here. Actually this is the only process which is unsigned. Whenever you see any unsigned process, you want to investigate a bit more where it is coming from. Is it a legitimate process? Is it or is it a malware? So view and hide signed processes, that will show you all the unsigned processes. And you can use a couple of other features in this. What could be quite interesting is refresh rate. When you are running process hacker, process hacker will be continuously refreshing the information just to pick new stuffs from the memory. If you want to talk with an example, let's say right now I'm not running Internet Explorer, but maybe within a second I started running Internet Explorer. How you want your process hacker to collect that information as refreshed information from the memory? You can select the intervals here. You can say collect the information after every 5 seconds, collect the information after every 10 seconds. Normally I always leave it as default normal, collect the information on normal interval, which is 1 second, after 1 second. So you can do those sort of filtering. Now I wanted to show you a few others. If you go to help, you go to log. From here you can find a bit more about the log, what are the processes has been terminated especially. So if the process hacker were running and you wanted to collect the information about terminated processes, then this will give you that. You can save this log file into a text file, things like that. What many times you want to do, if I go to hacker, and then many times you want to save all of this information, whatever you can see in this process hacker, you want to save it for future purpose. You can simply save it in a text file, and that will save all the information what we can see now in process hacker in a text file, so that you can investigate that later. So a quick summary, this tutorial was all about taking you through the basic processes run by Windows box, and I wanted to give you a brief introduction of process hacker, which is quite simple to use. So I will suggest you to play with process hacker, spend some time, try to understand the normal processes on a Windows box, so that you will be in a better position to identify abnormal processes for detailed investigation. Thank you.